Are you ready to break through any barrier or limiting belief holding you back? Ready to embrace your full potential and achieve your greatest success? Ready to get noticed and become the champion you were born to be? Then buckle up, because you've come to the right place. Greetings and welcome to another empowering episode of the Warrior Confidence Unleashed Ignite Your Warrior Spirit podcast. I'm your host, Master Coach Rich Grogan, and I'm truly blessed and grateful you're here today. Wow, another great show coming your way, baby. This is episode number 373, and I titled this one, Personal Freedom Over Negative Comments and Feedback, and in 3 steps to unleash your inner strength so that negative, comments and feedback, man, they don't get you down. And it shouldn't happen to me, but it does. And that's the thing about having a big heart, being a good person. Those things, man, you put everything you got into something, regardless what that is. And when someone, and oftentimes you feel it's unjustified, attacks you, especially if they get personal, well, I'm going to talk about 3 steps, 1, 2, 3, on how to overcome that so it doesn't get you down and keep you from being who you're born to be. But first, I always like to remind you, hey, if you haven't listened to and checked out previous podcasts, make sure you do so. Like our last one, episode 372, was Freedom from Doubt and how to break free to unleash, once again, that inner warrior, that inner spirit, that inner strength to be who you're born to be. But break free of that. And this whole month we're talking about, since it's July, right? Freedom, gaining your independence, how to break free, how to gain your independence. Break free from anything that might be holding you back. Last week it was doubt. This week it's how to break free from negative comments and feedback that keep you down. So 3 steps. But first, I always like to start off with a little story to tell you, it kind of connect with you. And if you're anything like me, and I think that's probably why you're listening to the podcast or watching it here on the YouTube channel. And as a reminder, you can listen to it any podcast app worldwide. Yes, we've made it. And on YouTube, obviously that's worldwide too. You can watch it if you'd like. You get to see stuff in the background, and when I show things, you'll be able to see it. But anyway, having a big heart, putting your heart and soul, especially that's what I do here with these podcasts when I'm on stage giving speeches and presentations, when I'm empowering hockey players or other leaders or coaches or athletes of any kind, and I give it all I got. That's just who I am. I was always the smallest, shortest guy on every team I played on. And in martial arts, same thing. And I still am today. I'm only 5'7", about 178 pounds now, working it and hitting it. But I was always told what I couldn't do. So I always had that underdog fighter spirit. I was like, you know what? You tell me I can't do it, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I use that kind of as my Bobby Boucher tackling fuel to help me accomplish what I've accomplished today and help me to get, I like to say, ice time as a hockey player and leadership roles. Same thing when I played baseball and football for several seasons. But hockey was my number one, baby. And for the longest time, I sat that bench. I did. I didn't know. I mean, I wasn't the most talented. Definitely wasn't, like I said, the biggest. But then I found kind of the secret. And the secret is work ethic of an underdog. Respect yourself by putting forth your best. Respect your coach, respect your team. Overall respect, but you got to respect you first. People ask all the time why I think there's so much disrespect in the world. I think there's so much disrespect because there's so little self-respect. Because when a person doesn't respect themselves, man, it's nearly impossible to respect anything or anyone else. So all respect, at least I believe, starts with self-respect. So respect yourself by always putting forth your very, very best. Have, like say, an attitude of excellence. Yeah, and that work ethic of an underdog. Anything you do. And here's something I mentioned just last week to the hockey players. I'm blessed here in Florida to be able to coach a couple teams. And it was a quote that I've used countless times. You've probably heard it on the show before, but it's worth repeating. How you do anything is eventually how you do everything, because you get in the habit. You get in the habit of kind of halfway, half button it, right? Not putting forth your very, very best. Before you know it, that's what you do. However, you get in the habit of staying committed, living through integrity, meaning if you say you're going to do it, you say you're going to show up, you say you're going to be there, you are there and you do it. You get in the habit of doing that, man, oh man, everything you do is going to be the best of your abilities. So it's a slippery slope. Unfortunately, the old thing about habits, good habits, man, they're hard to make, very hard to make. And On the downside, they're very easy to break. However, bad habits, man, they just come out of nowhere. Easy, easy, easy to make. And then what happens when you get a bad habit? And we've all had it before, like it nearly impossible to break. So sometimes a bad habit is, back to the podcast we're talking about today, focusing in on the negative comments, focusing in on the negative feedback. Now, that doesn't mean you can't take that feedback and learn and grow from it, especially if it's, kind of in a constructive way to help you grow. However, if it's in a destructive way, and that's one of the 3 points we'll get to, someone's just, who knows, whatever reason, most of the time, and I'll tell you this, it's jealousy. Now, when people would tell me as a kid, or even nowadays, people, they're just jealous. My thought is, why the heck would somebody be jealous of me? What in the world? Well, if I've done it, man, you can do it. And I know that sounds like an old cliche that all quote, quote, motivational speakers say, but that's truly how I feel. Why in the world would someone, if they knew the scrap and claw and fight and battle and perseverance, resilience, not giving up, all the number of times I've failed, been knocked down, been counted out. It ain't easy, man. Nothing in life is easy. I talked about on the last podcast, a champion or any type of success is not someone who's never failed before. It's someone who's failed over and over and over again, more times than you can even imagine, but they refuse to give up. They got back up each and every time, got back up to fight another round, got back up to give it another shot, got back up to say, hey, I'm not done yet. That's what a champion is, and any successful person. Now, you hear some people are just lucky. Well, some people may be born into, if you think success is all about money, and some people do. Had an opportunity to spend some time with Grant Cardone, and what he said was, he goes, I know a lot of quote, quote, rich people. That means they got a lot of money. But I know very few wealthy people. Now, what's the difference? Well, rich people, everybody thinks, rich success is all about money. Now, granted, I've been bankrupt twice, had my house foreclosed on, been poor as can be. Even as a kid, stood in line for government cheese. I know what it's like to be poor. It sucks. Not good. And then I've made some money with the business, and then selling the business and this and that. And I'll tell you, it's a lot easier to focus on not only doing these shows and everything else I do when you got enough money in the bank to pay the bills. But it doesn't just happen. You got to work toward that. So I've been on both sides. But I'm telling you, being rich has nothing. Well, I guess I'm sorry. Being rich, a lot of people think it's money. Not Rich Grogan. That's me. Wealthy is kind of having it all. From Jerry Maguire, the Quan, right? Wealthy is having money in the bank, having food in the fridge, having food in the pantry, being able to pay your bills, having a nice house to live in, and here's the most important part that is often overlooked by quote, quote, rich people, a great relationship with your family, with your kids, with your spouse, and great relationship with God, praying. That's having it all. And then, of course, wealthy, you're in good physical health, right? Because without your health, you got nothing. Yeah. And that's going to build into what we're talking about here on the 3 steps. So let's just get at it now. The first step, recognize the source of the negativity, and then determine what their motive was, if you can. Sometimes you don't know, but recognize the source. And if it's not somebody that you would want to trade places with in life, then you got no business listening to them, right? Yeah. If it's somebody that, and we can all learn from everybody's experiences. However, if that's just kind of a golden rule, if you wouldn't trade places with them, then I wouldn't go to them for advice. That's all there is to it. Now, everybody's got something to share, yes. But Zig Ziglar would always talk about a story, how he had a young guy come into his office, and he wanted to, I guess, get that next level, like we all do, right? You just want to get that next level. So Zig kind of put him through the little test he would have everybody go through, and he would say, all right, who's the most successful person you know? And the guy listed his boss. He said, okay, why is he successful? And the kid says, well, he's got money. Boy, he's got all this money. He's got a nice car. He's got a nice house. And man, he's got watches and rings and he's rolling in it. And the guy, okay, Zig says, so he's got financial success. He said, what's his health like? And he goes, well, the guy's, he's got ulcers. He's always sick. He's way overweight, never goes to the gym, and is always eating poor food. He goes, oh, so that's not a good thing. Checks that off in the negative column. He goes, what about his relationship with his family? He goes, oh, he's been divorced 3 times. I don't even know if he has any kids. He's never mentioned it. He's always stressed out about that. And Zig goes, well, that's a negative. And he said, and the guy goes, and come to think of it, his health, not only does it not work out, but he's always got ulcers he's telling me about. Zig goes, that's a double negative in the physical category. He said, what about kind of spiritual? He goes, now, as far as I know, he has no spiritual life. So let's look at it. You want to be like him because he makes a bunch of money, but that's the only thing he's got going for him is one thing. The rest of it, and once again, back to your health. If you ain't got your health, man, you ain't got nothing. There's an old saying, when you're healthy, man, you got 100 goals. You got 100 things you're going to do, man. However, when you're unhealthy, when you're sick, you got one. That is what? To get healthy. Because without your health, you got nothing. And I like to think without your family, you got nothing either. So don't throw them to the curb. So there's a difference between rich and wealthy. And that gets back to the negative comments. Recognize the source. If you wouldn't trade places with them, I wouldn't let that comment, whatever it is, even resonate with you. Now, here's another one, especially on social media. If it's somebody that never posts on anything positive on your post, but only jumps on there to say something negative, what good is that? Or somebody that never shows up at all, and then they just start blasting you about, maybe you got you post pictures of your family at a birthday party, or your son or daughter has made the hockey team, so you post that, and they're the negative one in there. Yeah, you don't need it. There's a little saying we came up with called love, block, and delete. Love means you're supposed to, love yourself and love everyone else, but also love yourself enough not to waste time on negative people. So delete their comment, block them. Or I guess when you block it, deletes your comment anyway. So love, block, and delete. Be done with it. And I've been doing a lot of that lately. It's just, and once again, back to the jealousy factor. I just, even to this day, I'm thinking, why in the world would someone be jealous when you just got to put in the work? I got nothing special, man. I mean, this is my unique talent, is doing podcasts, speaking, and empowering people. But as far as everything else, and like I said, I've had to claw, scratch, bite, do everything possible to get to that level. And if I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it. Back to the negative comments. You get 100 good comments. You get 100 likes. And then you get one negative. What do you tend to focus on? If you're anything like me, you focus on that negative one. Why? I read a meme today, and it was kind of similar. It's kind of funny. I was putting my notes together for the podcast here, and it was the doctor had a little thing up there, and it had 4 stars. It was a review. And the review said, from the person that wrote the review, "Thank you so much. You saved my life. I'm so ever grateful." But only gave the doctor 4 out of 5 stars. So the doctor's comment was, "Man, what the heck do I have to do for 5 stars?" So it's just a reminder. Who knows, right? So regardless what you do, you're always going to have those out there that want to criticize and hate. Consider the source. Now, with that being said, think about, what are you doing? What are you putting out in the universe? Are you giving that little extra, to be kind, the please and thank yous, the eye contact? And I know when I say this, adults say, "I'm not a little kid." Well, you set the example. There it is. And of course, my main core audience, you right there, athletes and leaders, coaches, those that are wanting to excel to the next level, those who want to be the best 2.0 version of themselves, those that want to make the rest of their life the best of your life, right? And especially those leaders, you're the ones that are empowering others. Yeah. with what we got. So consider the source. Are they truly trying to help you with constructive feedback, or is it just destructive, ugly nonsense that stems from jealousy? If it stems from jealousy, it ain't worth looking at a second time. Block, delete, move on. And I get a lot of people that say, and I'm guilty of this too. You're like, well, you know what? I don't want to delete that person or block that person because maybe. No, it ain't going to happen. Well, you know what? You do you. I'm just telling you from experience. I just wasted too much time trying to talk to somebody just to think rational thoughts. Come on, man. You know it's hurting you. You know it's not right. Think about this. And they just argued and fought tooth and nail. And I just said, like, you know what? I can't do any more. And it's not that I'm giving up on somebody. My wife kind of hit me with a right hook of reality a few years ago because I don't like to lose. So if I'm trying to help somebody, I'm going to not only give it all I can, but I'm not going to give up. But at the same time, you can't help somebody who's not willing to help themselves. And she said, this is what my wife said. Now, she said it in a much more eloquent way, but this is what I heard. I heard, your ego is so big that you can't see that this person clearly doesn't want your help, doesn't want anything to do with you, but you keep trying, you keep trying, you keep trying. And of course, my ego is like, yeah, but I know they need my help. And she says, by doing that and focusing on your ego so you could say, yep, they need my help and I fixed them. How terrible is that? But it's the reality of things. She says, by focusing on this one person, you're turning your back on the thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions that need your help because you can only spend time in one way or another, right? So if I focus all my time on this one person who doesn't want the help, I'm turning my back on all the others that do. And I don't have time to do my notes for my podcast. I don't have time to do the podcast. There's only so much time in a day, right? Yeah. 24 hours, we know that. 168 hours in a week. Now, if we're going to break it down even further, each day, 24 hours, we got that 1,440 minutes in a day and 86,400 seconds in a day. Now, I've talked about this at length on other shows, but think about this, especially the seconds. Every day, you're given 86,400 seconds. So think of each second worth $1. That's $86,400. Something bad happens. Maybe somebody cuts you off on the way to work. Or you got, back to a comment. You got a negative comment. All right, you read it. That took about 10 seconds. That's $10. Now, that $10 you spent to read that comment, do you just let it go and wash that $10 off as a loss? Or how much time do you spend the rest of the day telling everybody about it or focusing on it or chewing on it? Do you waste the whole day, all $86,400 on one negative comment? I didn't plan on bringing that in, but man, it's kind of weaved itself right in there, didn't it? And of course, I say these things because I need to hear it too. So somebody cuts you off at work or cuts you off in the car on the way to work. Well, that incident took 10 seconds. Maybe it's 30 seconds. Okay, there's $30. Do you spend the remaining day moaning, groaning, complaining about it, frustrated as all can be, just throwing dollars away? Or do you get right back at, okay, it happened. I'm done with it. Let's move on. Once again, easier said than done. So is everything. That's probably one of the biggest things I get thrown back at me is, oh yeah, you make it sound so gosh darn easy, but it ain't that easy. It's easier. Yeah, it ain't that easy. And I'm like, you're right. Easier said than done, but so is everything. So now sorry about that. Big old drink. I got watermelon and pineapple in my water there. Yes, that's how you flavor it. Fresh fruit. But anyway, yeah, there's not a thing out there that's not easier said than done. So anyway, all right, well, that was point number 1. Before we move on to point number 2, I want to tell you, I finally got it done. How to get more ice time. Hockey program. Yes, and this is the workbook, but the hockey program is actually a 45-minute masterclass, and it's a Q&A session. We'll go over, I think, are the 3 fundamental points to help your kiddo, or if you're watching this as a teen, tell mom and dad. It's for young and teenage hockey players. How to get more ice time, focus on respect, work ethic, communication, and leadership skills. Yeah. So parents, everything I talk about, I've been there. I've been there personally, sit in the bench. I've seen my kids sit the bench, and I'm like, man, what can they do? What can they do? Well, I'm telling you, these 3 ingredients, respect, work ethic, proper communication, leadership skills, is going to help them stand out from the crowd. It's going to help them get, in this case, the ice time they want and the leadership roles they deserve. But they got to be willing. When I say stand out, not doing what everybody else does, not whining and complaining, not making excuses, putting your head down and working hard. And I talk about it in the masterclass. I give all kinds of suggestions on how to be respectful at home, at practice, and games, your work ethic, home, practice, and games, proper communication with the coach. And then, of course, that leadership skills falls into that because of your communication. So anyway, right now I got the How to Get More Ice Time program. The masterclass is only $9. $9. Just go to warriorconfidence.com, warriorconfidence.com. Pick it up for only $9. The direct link will be in the description box. You can just click on that, or like I mentioned, go to warriorconfidence.com. Now, that's $9 for the masterclass, and I encourage you to do the order bump there and pick up the workbook as well, because I'm also throwing in an ebook for a few dollars more. That'll help them get the ice time they want, in that pain and suffering. And of course, you can be the hero to your kiddo. Good. All right. Well, pick it up. Exclusive offer won't last long. And of course, if you don't do anything, nothing's going to change. We got to change it, right? Get them the ice time. All right. Back to the 3 steps. Number 2, to get the personal freedom to escape, you got to believe in yourself, the proper mindset. Yeah. What I mean by that is, if you know in your heart, you're putting the good stuff out there. You know in your heart, you're giving it your all. You know in your heart, you are giving everything you got. You've been respectful. I like to say, leading with integrity on and off the ice, or leading with integrity in everything you do. Then break free from thinking, well, that person may be, and this is me personally, and some of you can relate to this, that person may be smarter than I am. Maybe they know what they're talking about. Now, back to what we talked about at the beginning of this, you can learn something from everyone. Don't ever, ever, ever be too egotistical to think you can't learn. Humility is number 1. You've got to be humble. As Socrates says, all I know is I know nothing. Matter of fact, I made an acronym out of warrior, and the W in warrior is for wisdom. And all wisdom begins with being humble enough to realize all I know is I know nothing, and willing to learn. But back to the point, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself enough to know that, man, I am a smart guy. I am a good speaker. I am a good hockey player. All the things that often, that little bully in your mind, somebody in 3rd grade, told me I couldn't read. For the longest time, I didn't think I could read. Somebody called me a dummy. Well, they're smarter than I am, so they must be right. I'm a dummy. I'm not negating those negative seeds that are planted in your mental garden, or as weeds. We got to get rid of them. And I went through in detail on the last podcast and many others on exactly how to do that. But what I want you to believe, and not only believe in yourself, is if you know in your heart that you're doing the right thing, you're putting it out there, you're whatever you're working on. And if you're putting something on social media, or you're oftentimes if you're at work, you're like, I want to say something, but you know what? I don't want to sound like a fool. And raise that hand. Talk about that. Because if you don't, and here's the thing about being quiet, chances are what you say, and yeah, you may have some knuckleheads laugh at you, what you say is probably going to help somebody else. That's the reason I do these videos. That's the reason I do the podcast here. And by the way, I do daily videos launched across all social media platforms. And they're shorts, they're reels, they're like 60 seconds. So make sure, if you haven't liked and subscribed, not only the YouTube channel, but all our other social media channels, it's Real Rich Grogan is my handle. So check those out. And I get my share of negative feedback as well. I had something just recently. I've got my books. You can see my books on the shelf. Where are they at? Becoming Bully Proof and kids book. And I put something out about my Becoming Bully Proof book, how I'd be happy to send several copies to this. I forgot exactly who it was, but it was a social media post. And one guy says, Rich Grogan, nobody wants your books. Nobody likes you. Just stop. I'm like, what the heck? Now, of course, the fighter spirit of me was like, you son of a gun. I want to jump through the screen and punch this guy in the face. I know it's not very Christian like. I'm more of King David. But the reason it triggered me so much is because it brought me back to my childhood. And I grew up poor on a farm. I sometimes had a difficult time making friends. I was always outgoing and, me being me. But that was kind of weird for a lot of kids, I guess. I don't know, especially the farm thing. But the number of times I was told, Richie, you're not invited. Richie, nobody wants you here. Now, I know that's what kids do. Kids are mean. They do those things. But man, it hurt, especially when you hear it over and over and over again. But I learned to, scrap, claw, battle through. It's kind of the learning and growing pains of life. But here I am. I'm 54 now. And that comment sent me right back to, that little kid that was being told that. Crazy, right? So that's what, and by the way, every time I do a show, a podcast, or any video blog, it's not that I got everything figured out. I'm just sharing with you what I've learned, how I've overcome, I've battled through, I've succeeded in a certain area, and this is the advice I want to share with you. But I'm still working on stuff myself. So, and also, my mentor, one of my mentors, Chris Widener, he had said, "Look, nobody expects you to be perfect, because if you act perfect, then you kind of turn people off." And I said, yeah, but I'm still working on a lot of this stuff. I still sometimes have trouble when somebody gives me a negative review. And he says, well, you know how many people out there can relate to that? You know how many people out there need to hear you say that? So they're like, oh, I'm not the only one? I'm like, oh, really? He goes, yeah, that's how you connect. That's how you relate. So once again, thanks, Chris. Appreciate you, brother. All right. So back to the personal belief in yourself, the mindset, the belief. Now you have to build those things up, right? Yeah. You have to build that up. So you have to, read the books, listen to the podcast, attend conferences, do everything you can to help gain that wisdom. And that's what builds that confidence. And then number 3, take empowering action to take care of yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically. Because the stronger you are, the better you feel about yourself, the more you're going to know that this negative comment or this negative feedback or whatever garbage someone's trying to say about you, you're going to believe enough in yourself that you're not going to, whatever. And the blocking and deleting, especially online, is going to get much easier. You're just going to say, done. I ain't arguing. I ain't got to prove nothing. That's when you kind of really feel in that zone. And what I mean by empowering yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically, mentally, you got to input not only positive thoughts, but you got to continue to grow, to self-educate, continue learning in order to be your very, very best. That builds confidence because you know what? That guy, I don't know, who does he think he is? I read this. I attended this conference. I know this for sure. It's that or warrior confidence, I like to call it. And what's the difference? Confidence, confidence is a fragile thing. It kind of comes and goes. My goal is, with anybody I work with, that your confidence may have been here when we started working together. Now it's up here. It's never going to go back. Now, it doesn't mean it's not going to go ebb and flow, but it's never going to go back to the level it was initially because you're going to believe so much more in yourself. And I'm giving you empowering techniques like reading and worksheets and everything else to help build that confidence so you feel better about yourself. But warrior confidence is all about unleashing that inner warrior, unleashing that warrior spirit to say, you know what, I'm a warrior and I feel good about me because I've done these things. And that warrior confidence is going to drive you far further than just regular confidence because you got that warrior fighting spirit. You've got the work ethic. You've got the attitude of excellence. You got the mindset of success. Why? Because you are a success. You are a champion. Got to feed the mental garden, man. Spiritually, if you're not a Christian, that's okay. I was baptized in 2017. It was a long time coming. But I know, and I've had many cornermen, so to speak, in martial arts days. I got God in my corner now. So I can turn to him anytime I need. And that just helps. Because when we try and fight these battles alone, whoo, man, it's rough, right? Yeah. And also spiritually, I believe in my heart is doing the right thing, regardless what everyone else is doing. Doing the right thing. That's integrity. Say you're going to do it. Do it. Stand out from the crowd, even if you're the only one. Stand up for what is right, even if you're the only one. That's integrity. That's putting it out there. The please and thank yous, the holding the door for others, just being kind, the smiles. Hey, trying to make people feel better because we have no idea the battles other people are fighting. And here's the thing: kind of growing up, my dad, honoring him with my hat over there, 101st Airborne. He was at 101st Airborne in Vietnam, 68 and 69, 1968, 1969. So obviously, not a good experience. He was only one of two people that survived on his hill, and the only reason he survived was he was left for dead. So it was a rough childhood growing up because we grew up on a farm, and that Johnny Cash song, "A Boy Named Sue," could have very easily been "A Boy Named Richie." Richie, do this. Richie, I'm not going to be around, so you better toughen up and so forth. But anyway, his whole kind of attitude and philosophy was, don't trust anybody, and you're never going to be hurt. That's how you toughen up, and you don't let anybody in. Now, he built that wall. Obviously, he was wounded severely, and he had a terrible childhood. And that's just, he did the best he could as a father, and I love him to this day. But that was his advice. Don't trust anybody. You'll never get hurt. Now, on the other side, my mom and my grandma, kind of grew up with those two. They were all about, Richie, it's best to trust everybody. And yeah, you're going to be wrong occasionally, but that's just a more positive way of going through life. And I'm like, well, Dad says don't trust anybody. I won't get hurt. And as soon as, and I get bullied and beat up a lot as a kid. Why? I trusted people. So I'm thinking Dad's way is the right way. But then they would say, no, yeah, there's bad people out there. So that brings it all back to these comments. You get 100 positives, you get one negative. Now, what do you focus on? It's so frustrating, right? All right. Well, back to number one, consider the source, and what their intent was. If it's ugly, negative, and total destruction, and they have no, it's all about being hurtful, get rid of it. Love, block, delete. And then the second one, obviously, believing in yourself to realize, you know what, that comment ain't phasing me because I know it ain't true. And now this third one, we're talking about, the empowering actions to build that, I call it bulletproof armor, kind of like the armor of God back there, mentally, spiritually, and now physically. Take care of yourself physically. Work out, exercise, eat properly. What you put in mentally, you're going to get out. What you put in, I guess, nutrition-wise, you're going to get out, or it's going to come out, or it's going to help you feel better, help you get in better shape. Be aware of those things. Because I'm telling you, the better you feel mentally, spiritually, and physically, the more you're going to be able to combat all that negativity because you're going to believe more in yourself. You're going to be empowered. And then, not only are you going to block, deflect, delete all that garbage out there, you're going to be a better person yourself. So you're going to do more. And you're not going to be afraid of putting more good content out there or being a good person, smiling, holding the door, thank you, doing all the things that unfortunately others don't do. And I tell teenagers all the time, if you want to stand out in a crowd, you want to get noticed, you want someone to say, man, there's something special about that guy or that girl, that kid. It's easy. How is it easy? Be respectful. Make eye contact. Smile. Say please and thank you. Know how to shake hands. Have a good work ethic. Show up on time. Like, well, that's a lot of things. It really boils down to respect, work ethic, and proper communication. Whoa, wait a minute. Isn't that the three things I talked about in the How to Get More Ice Time book? Yeah. It's universal. It's universal. But you will stand out from the crowd because, unfortunately, most people aren't willing to do it. Crazy, right? Yeah. There you go. I mean, think about social media. We have all the connectivity in the world. Connect with anybody at any time. But what have we lost in the process? Personal communication. How to shake hands, how to make eye contact, how to smile, how to be kind, how to think of others instead of only ourselves. And then how to act and react when people say something negative or rude or mean to us. We get locked in, hiding behind devices. Now, I'm grateful for those devices, or, we haven't been able to do this. You wouldn't be able to hear me right now or see me right now. I'm grateful for that. But we got to make sure that we don't lose those essentials. And I'm not kidding. It's easier than ever to stand out from the crowd. Just do those three things. Good. All right. Did you get something from that? I hope so. I always love it. And please leave in the comments, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave in the comments what you got out of it. or if it helped. And then by all means, if you found value in this, please share it with someone else who could also benefit, especially, and I know most teens don't listen to podcasts, but my message is universal about how to be your very, very best, how to unleash that inner warrior, how to deflect and break free from all the negative comments and feedback and anything holding you back. Self-doubt. That's what we talked about on the last show. Share it. And I always encourage you, listen more than once. You can listen in the car to and from work. And the reason you want to listen more than once is you're always going to pick up something you missed the first time. Why? Because you're going to be at a different level of learning or understanding or hearing, or who knows what's going on that maybe you missed a key point that you're going to pick up the second time. Good? All right, let me look over my notes, make sure I didn't forget anything. Big shout out to our thousands and thousands of fans and listeners like you right there. Thank you so very much. I'm truly grateful beyond words for the feedback. And we love those 5-star reviews too. So please give us a 5-star review if we've earned it, because what that does is that moves us higher in the search engines, so more people are going to be able to find us. And think about this. If more people heard this message, wouldn't that make a profound impact on your life and others' lives and others and the world as a whole? Absolutely. Make the society, I like to say, a happier, healthier, and safer place to live. And that's collectively. We got to do it together. All right, recap. Big shout out to my wife's company, Beachside Blend. It's a coffee truck company. They sell, just the most amazing coffee and these luscious lotus drinks, and the smoothies are just, I can't. Yeah, that's exactly what I got to say. They are just tasty, tasty, tasty. But she's here in Palmetto, Florida, and they go around the surrounding areas. I'll throw their website in the description box so you can check that out. So if you're in the area, or especially if you're in the area and you want to hire them for an event, you can definitely do that as well. Live Pure. You'll hear a commercial at the very ending of the podcast. Got the, where's it at? Boop, right up there. That's a company I've partnered with for health and nutritional supplements. All third-party lab tested, all clean, pure, and it's a Christian organization. Just fantastic. No artificial additives, sugars, or preservatives. All clean, all natural, and for anything from kind of mental health to physical health to if you're having digestive problems, I got it all, and it's fantastic. And of course, the How to Get More Ice Time hockey program. Check it out. $9 for the master class, and then the order bump for the workbook and the ebook, a few dollars more. But check that out. All the links are in the description box. All right. Well, thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy day. I'm truly grateful, and because if you weren't listening, you weren't watching, essentially I'm just talking to myself, and I enjoy doing that. I enjoy talking to myself. But it's so much more rewarding talking to someone else. And that's why I love your comments. And of course, you're going to leave a rude comment. Don't bother, because I'll just block and delete you. I got to set the example, right? Come on now. Yeah. Now, if you got something constructive to say, I'll definitely listen to that. But it's just destructive, done, gone, over with. All right. Thank you. And until we talk again, you get out there, you right there, and do your best. And I promise you'll be your very best. Thanks again for listening. God bless you. God bless your loved ones. I can't wait to chat with you again real soon. Have a blessed day, everybody. Can't wait to read your comments. Bye-bye. Thank you so very much for being a part of the Warrior Confidence Unleashed podcast. I am truly grateful for your time. If you found value in this message, please kindly share it with someone else who could also benefit from it, especially teenagers and adult athletes and leaders who are serious about getting noticed, getting more playing time, and leadership roles. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share your comments with us. And we truly appreciate your 5-star reviews, as that helps spread the message even further. Stay connected with us throughout the week on all social media platforms at Real Rich Grogan. And visit our website at warriorconfidence.com for access to all our programs and books. The links are in the description box. Thank you again for your time, and I can't wait to chat with you again real soon. Have a blessed day. God bless. Parents, are you frustrated seeing your superstars sit on the bench, getting overlooked and passed over for ice time and leadership roles? I personally know that heartbreak and pain. Well, that frustration ends today. Introducing our How to Get More Ice Time program, the amazing one-of-a-kind program for youth and teenage hockey players that helps them get what they want most, more playing time and more opportunities. And today, exclusive offer, we're selling this thing for only $9. $9. It's a no-brainer. But you got to act now because this offer won't last. And if you don't do anything, nothing's going to change. So go to warriorconfidence.com. That's warriorconfidence.com, or simply click on the link in the description box. Buy the program today and help your child get what they want most, more ice time. I want to mention this amazing nutritional company that I've partnered with called Live Pure. And I've been sampling their products for the past 12 months, and I feel 100% confident giving Live Pure my full endorsement. That's why I'm sharing it with you now. My personal nutrition, health, wellness, weight loss, and muscle tone have all improved dramatically. And all the products are third-party lab tested, 100% clean, pure, and natural. They're a Christian-based company with over 17 years of improving lives. So check out the link in the description box to learn more and to get preferred partner pricing.